the Chef's Kitchen Healthy Fine Dining Series. I'm your host, Nicole Gaffney, and we're here today at the Easton Public Market with St. Luke's University Health Network, where we're bringing together doctors and chefs to create healthy new menu options to be featured at their restaurants. Joining me in the kitchen today is Chef Lee Chizmar of the Silver Shell Kitchen and Counter, along with Dr. Andrew Krakowski. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great. Great to have both of you in the studio today. So what are we making?
So this is kind of going to be a play on like a bouillabaisse. But being from Pennsylvania, I kind of like to imagine something that you could forage for a little bit.
All right.
And so it has some, takes on the classic, but then a lot of Pennsylvania and kind of neater take on it.
I love that. It is very Lee Chizmar. So let's get started.
Okay, so first we're going to start with the set.
Come on over.
Absolutely.
I have a little Romesco cauliflower.
The prettiest of all the cauliflowers.
Gorgeous.
And super tasty. And sometimes people will call it broccoli also. So I kind of feel like
Okay.
it has that broccoli cauliflower taste.
Almost like a little hybrid.
Exactly. Andrew, if you want, just grab the oil right there and give me a little shot right here in the pan.
You got it.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get some of this right in here.
Okie doke.
So next, we're gonna add a little bit of garlic to this.
Okay.
And I'm gonna come in here, we just take one whole clove, I'll probably use half of it.
Okay.
And we'll do a little back slice.
I love this. You do this every time you chop garlic on the set of the Chef's
and,
Kitchen.
and it's definitely,
The samurai sword, apparently.
it's very, knives are very important for the chef.
As
for
is
sure.
technique, and that's a really
Yeah.
great technique.
So next we have a little bit of Cipollini onions here. And I'm just gonna do two of these. One of the things I like to do when you're prepping, I'll actually flip them and put them together. And then I can come in and cut them together. It saves a little bit of time. And I'll come down here. Once I get to the bottom, we'll flip them
Nice.
to the side and kind of work right through there.
That's great.
Yeah.
And saving time must be important for you in your kitchen because
That-
you do this to order for every dish that
Yes,
you cook.
so it's always as fast as you can
Yeah.
go. You're always looking for a way to cut some time out and
Sure.
Without cutting
things
fingers.
without
Exactly.
cutting fingers.
Sorry, we have a doctor on the set.
Yeah,
just in
we've
case.
got a really good emergency department. Don't worry.
All right, and next I'm just going to add one shallot.
Okay.
We've got, you can hear, I think it's really important in the kitchen. One of the things people get, intimidated a lot of times, when you're cooking your food's talking to you, you can hear the sizzle, you can
Yeah.
smell it. As things begin to cook to where you want them, you'll be able to smell the aromas, and that's one of the things. I think it's a language that you have to learn a little bit.
Totally.
But as long as you're listening and smelling, you can pick it up pretty easily. So
Using
I'm just
all
gonna,
the senses.
I'm just going to add a little salt, and this
Okay.
kind of helps with the sweat. The salt's going to kind of pull some of the moisture out. We're getting
Look
some
at that,
really
nice and
nice
browned.
color. All right. So I'm going to add one shallot here. In the same way, I just always make sure I take my roots off there. And
That back slice.
just back slice.
Now, is cauliflower a traditional ingredient you would incorporate in a bouillabaisse?
So no,
Yeah.
not at all.
all.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so really, our other restaurant, Bolete, which is Latin for mushroom, Pennsylvania has incredible mushrooms. You can forage for them all the time. And they're just fantastic. So this is kind of like a nod to that, where we're kind of going to adjust and make a little changes. I'm sure if you are a classic French chef, he would probably be, not so excited about how we're doing this.
Well, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Okay, so here I have some hen of the woods or Maitake mushrooms. I just kind of pre-sear these off in a little bit of oil, salt, a touch of sherry vinegar. So I'm going to add these. The other reason I'm adding this, you can kind of see our pan's getting pretty hot.
Yeah.
So when I add my onions and garlic, I don't necessarily want it to burn.
Sure.
So I'm going to add these down. This is actually going to cool down the pan a little bit. Andrew, we have some oyster mushrooms over there.
Yes.
Yep. If you want to go ahead and add a couple pinches there.
Now, have these been pre-cooked or?
Yep, these are also pre-cooked.
Okay.
We just seared them in oil again.
They're looking
Nice.
pretty
A
good.
little
Or you want a
salt.
little more?
That's perfect, right there. All right. So next I'm going to go ahead and add my shallots.
Nice.
So here
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm going
it
to add a
does.
little bit of salt.
I'm Andrew Krakowski. I'm the new Chief of Dermatology at St. Luke's. I'm also the Program Director for the Residency in Dermatology. So I was attracted to the St. Luke's Network because I wanted the opportunity to be surrounded by good people who wanted to take care of the community that they live in. This community has had access to dermatology in the past, but they've not had great access to dermatology. And more importantly, they haven't had great access to great dermatology. And the opportunity to be able to create that program from the ground up, bringing in experts who do their job so well, so dedicated. We've got a wonderful group of people, not only employed by St. Luke's, but also in the community that are partnering with us through our residency of dermatology that are truly dedicated to taking care of people's skin and the health, not just the skin, but the true health of the overall person. I'm a pediatric dermatologist with fellowship training in that field. As far as we know, the only one in Lehigh Valley to do that. That means I get to take care of children from birth all the way up through adults in geriatric age. So I get to see skin conditions on the full life spectrum. My particular interest is children, especially newborns with birthmarks, and teenagers with conditions such as acne, other inflammatory conditions like eczema, atopic dermatitis. But I'm very comfortable taking care of adults with skin cancers and other rashes that need diagnosing.
Now we're going to jump in and add a little bit of saffron.
Oh wow! So is this where the bouillabaisse?
Yes, this is kind of our
traditional,
yeah,
right?
this is a little bit more traditional. And one of the things a lot of people don't know is back in the day, Pennsylvania was, they used to produce a ton of saffron.
That I definitely did not know.
Yeah, and that's kind of died out, especially with Pennsylvania Dutch cooking. Saffron was used in a lot of their recipes. So it's kind of something that, it's kind of a neat Pennsylvania Dutch, Pennsylvania with the bouillabaisse.
It's definitely something I think most people would not associate with the state of Pennsylvania or the Pennsylvania Dutch by any means.
Right. We're getting close here.
Yeah, the saffron.
So here I have a little fingerling potatoes, and we just confit these in oil with a little saffron and a touch of garlic ahead of time. Literally cut them up, cover them in oil, add your saffron, bring them to a simmer, stir them a few times, and then once you have a nice simmer, turn it off, let it go 3 minutes, and you're ready to go.
So they're like poached in the olive oil,
Yes,
basically.
yeah.
Nice.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add these guys here. As this is kind of simmering and building, let's step over, and we're going to take a look at our Pocono rainbow trout over here.
Okay. So locally sourced as well.
Yes, if you want,
Yes.
I'm going to have Andrew do a little pin boning here.
Thank you.
Very nice. Have you ever pin boned a fish before?
I cannot say that I've ever pin boned anything. So this is great. We got to glove up like we're in the clinic here.
That's right.
And this is a whole trout. They just have kind of taken out the backbone here, and you can buy these. These are kind of semi-boned. There is a line of pin bones right here. Some people will actually leave them in. You can eat them. Personally, I like to remove them. I think it's a little bit
Yeah,
more,
I like my fish boneless.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to take these guys, and if you just run your finger down here, go ahead and feel right there. You can feel the pin bone. So I start right in here. I'll pinch and pull, and you just work your way down. I do kind of pinch here a little bit to kind of hold the flesh. All right, and we're just going to work right down there. Right, and I just kind of hold them in there as I go.
All right, I apologize now if anyone chokes on a fish bone.
It's like doing surgery.
We'll get this going here for you.
Now, do you like to cook at
I
home?
love to cook,
Yeah?
and what I think is so special about this presentation, which I was not expecting, was my grandfather, my father's father, and I and my sister used to go fishing in the Lehigh River for this exact fish, trout. So pretty cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you have roots in this area, but you just recently moved back here from the West Coast.
That's correct. I grew up visiting the Lehigh Valley pretty much once a month.
Nice.
And all four of my grandparents were here, Whitehall, Center Valley. And we had the opportunity to come back to be with our family, and we jumped on it. So
That's fantastic. And how's it been so far?
Well, I'm on a cooking show for the first time. I mean, how magical. What kind of opportunities St. Luke's provides. So.
Well, we're happy to have you back.
Thank you very much.
So I'm adding just a little bit of sherry vinegar and lemon juice to this right now.
All right.
And that acid kind of helps to bring it all together. I can smell.
It smells incredible.
You can
The
smell that
saffron and the garlic.
Yeah. So the final thing I'm going to add here, I have a little, and this is from one of our local farms. This
so
is
cute.
kale rub, like broccoli rub.
Okay.
It's
So
kind
it's
of
sprouted.
Yes, it's sprouted. They're very tender. It is kind of a delicacy. It happens quickly. You don't get to see it very much. So we're going to go ahead and add a little of this. This is kind of one of those things, if you're foraging, like wild mustard greens, any kind of greens, I like to kind of throw those in.
That's
they
great.
have really nice earthy tones. So over here I have a little mushroom stock.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and add this to this.
All right.
All right.
Stand back.
And this kind of...
So that's sort of going to be the broth of the
That's our
bouillabaisse.
broth.
Okay.
Yeah. We have a little bit of sourdough bread here.
Beautiful bread.
We have a nice grill. We're just going to go ahead. I'm going to season this up, get a little oil on it.
How you doing over here?
I'm on my second side.
Yeah,
I
very
can't
nice.
guarantee the results, but very efficient.
Having you doing wonderfully.
Residency in dermatology is a wonderful opportunity for the Lehigh Valley to not only train future generations of dermatologists, but then also hopefully to retain them and to stay in the community and provide the services that are so needed. On average, it takes maybe 6 to 8 months to see a dermatologist. We promised and committed to St. Luke's to keeping that in a much more reasonable time period, such that if you actually have a rash, you can get in and see an actual board-certified dermatologist who can make a diagnosis before a small problem becomes a big one. Diagnosing skin conditions early is critical. If you have a rash that starts out and you can't see a dermatologist for 6 to 8 months, as the national case may be, one of two things happens, right? Either that rash goes away on its own, or it's something that was starting out small and turning into something bigger, more serious, and now you delayed diagnosis and treatment is the important part, that much longer. So seeing a dermatologist quickly, efficiently, and most importantly, making an accurate diagnosis is critical to earlier treatment.
Andrew, I'm going to work right next to you, and I'm going to start on the second fish here.
All right, move this over here.
Now, Lee, let's talk a little bit about the silver shell counter and kitchen that you're opening up.
So my wife, who is kind of our head restaurateur, and we met in Boston. She's from Marion, Massachusetts, and she grew up clamming, eating lobster rolls. She would plan her vacation, you know, when she went to the Cape.
Yeah.
It was, I'm going to have 4 lobster rolls today.
Oh, yeah.
She knew exactly where she was going to go.
That's how you do it there.
So when we moved back to, when I moved back to Pennsylvania, I never actually thought that Erin would come back with us. And she did, and this is our home now, but she still really misses the New England seafood.
Yeah, once you get that in your blood, you can't really shake it.
Right, so the silver shell's kind of gonna be a New England classic clam bar, fried whole belly clams, steamers, oysters,
Awesome.
lobster rolls, New England style clam chowder.
Okay,
So
Perfect.
let's wrap this up and get to that. It sounds wonderful.
And that's located right here in the Easton Public Market,
It's
which
in-
is right across from your other restaurant, Mr. Lee's.
Yep,
Noodle
Mr.
House, right?
Lee's, our ramen bar, and the silver shell will be right across the way.
All right, great. So you think you got all the pin bones out of there, Doc?
I feel a little rough spot here or there, but I think I got about 98% of them.
All right, nice job. Well
Didn't
done.
butcher it too
I'm gonna-
much. Oh, there we
I'll finish cleaning these guys up here.
go. All right.
All right. Now, when you're trimming up the fish like this, do you do anything with the leftover trimmings? Can you utilize them?
So you could, and definitely had we done this first, we could easily have put them in our mushroom broth to kind of give it that
Right,
extra little
so
flavor.
give it a little
there.
more oomph.
Yeah. I'm just going to check here and see what we've got. All right.
Moment of truth.
Yeah.
No.
Good?
No. Very, very good. And
Nice
this
job.
is like,
Well done.
it's still,
He's nice. He's being nice.
yeah, it was just one. All right, so we're just about ready to sear our trout.
Bread's looking good.
Bread's looking great. I'm gonna get that one. a
One
little
other thing
more
that we're
toasty.
going to do, we're going to actually add, I have some quail eggs here, you know, following that foraging kind of out in the woods, you know,
Sure.
finding some eggs.
It'd be great to just stumble across some quail eggs. You know?
It would be.
Happens all the time, right?
They're beautiful looking.
They are. Do you think you would be able to accurately identify a quail egg out in the wild?
So I hope so. And I think if you mistook it for something else,
Right.
you'd probably still have a pretty good egg.
Sure, yeah, it's not like poisonous mushrooms,
Right,
you know? Egg's
right.
probably not going to kill you.
So one of the things too, you know, we still have our skin on, which will crisp up really nice.
Great.
Some people don't always care for it. So one of the things that I like to do is when I cook my trout, I actually, I'll do half skin side down for a nice crispy skin, and then I'll do half up which allows us a really nice caramelized flesh side.
Nice.
So you can kind of pick through how
Best
you,
of
how
both
you wanna do it.
worlds.
Yeah, best of both worlds. I'm going to go ahead and just add some salt here.
Okay.
And I always season one side of the fish first, and then we'll season the second side just before we flip it over. I'm going to add this is a little white pepper. Add a little to our bouillabaisse here. So we'll go ahead. We have a little bit of blended oil here.
Okay.
And I'm just kind of enough to cover the bottom of the pan. So you see we have a little bit of smoke.
Yeah.
That's what you want. You want to see that. And then we're going to come right in here and add these guys. So I'm doing my seasoned side down.
Okay.
And the thing about trout, it's kind of amazing. They cook so quickly.
Yeah. What St. Luke's does that's truly special is they brought in a multidisciplinary approach to a lot of the common medical problems. So when you look at dermatology, we're not looking at just from the perspective of the dermatologist. We're also considering medical oncology, the melanoma experts who are there to take care of patients who, once they've been diagnosed by a board-certified dermatologist, can then get adjuvant treatment through the medical oncology program. Similarly, we're looking at how we can do maybe a surgery in the dermatology clinic that can be then repaired expertly by plastic surgery who works very closely with us. So part of the quote-unquote technology that really allows us to do our job better is just being simply surrounded by smart people dedicated to taking care of other humans expertly. And having that access is unique and it's critical to long-term outcomes. I would like the Lehigh Valley community to know that St. Luke's dermatology is on the map. We're here and we're 100% committed to doing things differently. And what I mean by that is we're promising patients who come to see us in their time of critical need for skincare that we're going to take the time to examine them thoroughly, professionally, expertly, and give them access to the treatment that they need to have the best clinical outcomes possible.
We have some quail eggs over here.
Okay.
And that'll kind of be the final garnish for
Want
our
me to
fish.
prepare the poach?
Yep, so what we're gonna do, you're gonna come right in here, and I use a paring knife, and we're just gonna literally clip right off the top. You wanna look for shells.
It's just how you always crack an egg, right?
Yeah, and then drop it right in there. All right.
Yeah, just like that. No,
Just like usual.
Where's the second round for actual cooking purposes? Destroy these. All right, that's good.
First time poaching a quail egg, Doc?
First time cutting a quail egg, I would say. How about that?
Nicely done.
Let's see.
You're a pro.
Yeah, there you
Drop
go.
it in there.
Yep, just drop it right in.
All right.
It's
Pretty blue inside there. It's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
kinda-
beautiful
they're
eggs.
super beautiful.
Yeah.
It's really nice. All right, so as this is cooking here, I'm just gonna come in. We'll give this a little bit of a stir.
Okay.
I almost forgot the
delicate
most
hands of
important
the
ingredient.
dermatologist.
So over here we have a little Burgundian snails.
Ah, a little
and this kind of
escargot.
brings us our final
Nice.
little, you know.
I thought those were
seafood-esque-
another mushroom.
Yeah. Well, and they have such similar
Yeah.
qualities to them. I'm just about done over here. I'm literally just going to pull this guy off the heat.
Okay.
We'll turn that off. You can see we're a little bit raw here on the top, but it's cooking right the way we want. So I'm going to come in and grab a little bit of salt.
Okay.
All right.
Nailed it.
So Andrew, if you want, you can come in here. And one of the things I probably should have told you ahead of time was you want to kind of keep an order of where you're dropping your eggs. So,
Okay.
all right, this was the first one. This is the first one that I dropped. All right. So go ahead and
This is a
work
mess,
your way around.
mess egg there.
Yeah. But you can kind of feel, you know, they're
Yeah.
just set and it's perfect.
They're ready to rock?
So fast,
Okay,
yeah. So
okay.
go ahead and drop them right in there. I'm going to come in here and flip these guys over, and then we're just about ready to plate.
Oh,
Now
look
you
at
can
that.
see
Beautiful.
we have a really nice, beautiful. So now I'll probably just add a little bit of lemon.
Okay.
All right, and I always do just a touch of sherry vinegar because it's going to go really well with everything.
Always with the double onions and the double acids. I love it.
There's a little vinegar in there?
Yes, so it's I actually use sherry vinegar, but any acid will work. And we'll go ahead and grab our fish out. So we'll go ahead. We'll do 3 little individual ones. So another thing I do have a little bit of the local greens. We have some
The beautiful microgreens.
ruby streaks.
Nice.
These are little mustard greens, and we have some bok choy that we can throw down over here. Andrew, if you want to grab some of the bok choy,
Yeah,
right
absolutely.
back there, and you're just going to kind of lay it out just like this.
Okay.
All right.
kind of interspersed with the,
Yeah.
just pretty,
Okay,
right?
yeah. And then I'm gonna come in here and grab our bouillabaisse that I think is just where we want it. Yeah, that's beautiful. You sure you haven't done this before?
Not since, no, never.
All right, so as I do this, I just want to make sure I'm getting a little bit of all the ingredients. And again, we haven't used any butter. Really just letting the ingredients speak for themselves. Andrew, if you want to grab some of those quail eggs.
Quail eggs, yep,
first up,
coming
you can
up.
drop them right in there. I think, yeah, 2 on each plate is
Nice.
great. You can really see the saffron, the way it gave
Yeah, the broth is
the color
so
with the mushrooms.
viscous looking.
And finally, we're going to go ahead and drop in our trout. And there's our foraged Pennsylvania bouillabaisse.
This looks great, Lee. Can't wait to try it.
Thanks.
But
Bon
let's
appetit.
just go for it.
Make sure you get one of those quail eggs.
I know, they look perfect. Look at that. Nice runny yolk.
And very nice job on
Wow.
the quail eggs. This is
I
perfect.
learned from the best. Thank you.
The trout is delicious. With that caramelized top. Really the broth though, we should
Yeah,
have
the broth.
spoons to be slurping that off. But if you do have the bread,
Yes,
the bread's
we
probably
do.
the most important part of this whole dish. You know? This is great.
Phenomenal.
Well, Doctor, it was great having you on the show today representing St. Luke's.
Thank
And
you very
Lee,
much.
it's always a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much.
Good
Always
luck
a
with the
pleasure.
silver shell. We're really excited for you. All right.
I love to be on Chef's Kitchen because it gets me a chance to get out of my kitchen, where I spend most of my time with the guys and girls that I work with, but now I get to share my techniques and my skill with everybody else.
Is that an island?